Hello and welcome to a special edition of LISA Conversations. We're at the LISA conference having conversations with people who are here. I'm Lee Damon from the University of Washington.
Hi, I'm Tom Limoncelli, SRE from StackOverflow.com. And it's a very special episode. We have next year's chairs, the chairs of LISA 2016 with us today, Matt and John. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Matt Simmons. I have been involved in this community for several years now. I was on the Invited Talks committee last time, and I'm looking forward to chairing this. Thanks.
My name is John Arrasjid. I'm on the board of directors for USENIX, and I'm also working at EMC's Office of the CTO. I've been participating with USENIX for a very, very long time, not just on the LISA conferences, but other areas, doing tutorials and other book publishing and things like that.
Thank you both for joining us. I know you're busy putting together your initial plans for next year's conference. And I want to start off with a more generic question. Why do you keep coming back to this conference? Because clearly you have been coming back.
Well, for me, it's honestly the community. I get a lot out of the classes. I get a lot out of the tech sessions. But, I've been coming here since 2009 or so, and I feel like I'm part of the family now. Which is great, and somehow they decided to put me in charge, which is crazy and ill-advised. But I am going to seize power and do what I can, and it's hopefully going to be a fun conference for everyone involved.
Yeah. I've been coming a little bit longer, since about 88 or 89. I got the actually first one, but what's really got me coming back for LISA as well as some of the other USENIX conferences is the community. There's the tutorials, there's the different speaker sessions, but it really is something that got me started in my career. I got a computer science degree, but going to the first USENIX conference, which had kind of the system administration stuff embedded as part of it, was really very influential in some of the decisions that I've made.
You want to talk about your very first LISA or USENIX conference?
Yeah, I would love to, actually. It's really funny how I got involved. So I had a blog, and I wrote on it quite a bit at the time because it was therapeutic. And I applied when I saw an ad for a USENIX LISA blogger, and I got accepted and took the train down to Baltimore, had a wonderful time, ended up writing a whole lot of blog entries. I got published in Login for doing a review, and then some trade mags on the outside, and then, it kind of blew up, and I have been coming back ever since. It's just been a lot of fun.
I forgot the question.
Tell us about your first LISA or USENIX conference. What did you experience?
The first conference was in San Diego. It was what they called the Winter USENIX conference. It was down in the 20s. We all decided to go down to the Wild Animal Park, but there was a lot of us doing tech talk and non-tech talk, and kind of our experiences that led us to computer science. For me, it was system administration. It's okay, I'll let you hit it. What led me to this was science fiction, was a huge part of this, in particular Star Trek, Star Wars, things like that. And then what led me to go from programming into system administration was, back in the day, we actually didn't have that many system administrators. And so we had to kind of maintain our own systems and things like connections like UUCP and SendMail and things like that. And going to the conferences was where I could hear the authors of these original programs speak, talk about what they did, how we could use the different pieces of software, and actually opened my eyes to new technologies as well.
So now we're a year away from the conference that you two are planning. So I know you're just in the beginning of the planning, but what are you thinking in terms of, do you have a vision, or what would you like to see come out of the conference next year?
Do you want to go?
Sure.
Okay.
We each have different perspectives. I think that's one advantage of having different co-chairs, two people with different experiences. We both have system administration background. In my space, I've focused a lot the last few years around VMware technologies and infrastructure design, and in particular, helping individuals who are doing system administration move into IT architecture design. And that's one of the key focuses that I've had. And I'm hoping that we can follow along in that path. Help system administrators in what they're doing in their day-to-day jobs, but also in the career path and learning new technologies and also potentially transitioning into infrastructure design. And in particular, some of the new technologies that are out these days that maybe early stage for us to say exactly how they're going to lead to future use. Things like converged infrastructure. We think we have an idea on how things are happening, but our goal is picking individuals that can actually help us think about what needs to be done now, but be as current as possible when we get to the conference time frame, which is at the end of next year.
So what you're kind of saying is you want to create a lot of content that gives people a vision of the future and what they can expect to see.
While still rooted in today, so that there's a transition. Yeah.
Right, but that's the future post 2016, not the future this year.
Correct.
I feel I feel like you have to balance. There are people coming to these conferences from all walks of life, from all different experience backgrounds, and we absolutely do need to continue to push on the kind of infrastructure skills that everyone needs in order to run a modern infrastructure these days. But at the same time, I spend a lot of time in the hallway track. I spend a lot of time talking with people and seeing what they're going through and what they're getting into and where their infrastructures are going. And one of the things that I have kind of picked up from there and from industry blogs and industry tech articles, the complexity of a modern infrastructure is growing all the time. And so the largest of the infrastructures, I think very shortly, are going to start seeing and requiring technologies and solutions that we just don't have yet. And so part of what we're going to be focusing on is going to be, introducing people to the concepts that they're probably going to be encountering. And like John said, we don't have solutions for all of them, right? I don't think the solutions exist, certainly in documentation, maybe not even in source code. But it's something that we owe to people. And if we don't start planning now for a solution that's going to be on the cusp at the end of 2016, then we're going to be behind the ball.
Right, but at the same time, I assume you're going to have stuff for people who are not at those sizes of sites.
Heck yeah,
people who are at the smaller site who are
Absolutely.
running a dental network for or a small research group or something like that.
There's a reason why we call the conference LISA and not the full. It's not just because it was an acronym for Large Installation System Admin. It actually covers more than just that. It covers very large scale, but it covers small scale. And it's something that we have to think about because the small can grow to big. When I started doing some of the system administration at startups, I might be the only system administrator. And some of those companies have grown to have over 20,000 people and very large teams of system administrators.
Yeah. I think even people that are at small sites feel like they're in a site that's larger than they can handle. And that's just a common theme for all system administrators. And that's my definition of large for LISA.
No, I completely agree. I administered a small site for the first 10 years of my career, basically. And what I found was that I had the same problems that other people had. The scale was smaller, but my budget was comparatively smaller too. And I found like I was constantly trying to MacGyver my way into higher uptime. And it wasn't really until I started coming to conferences and seeing what was available, taking the training, people who invented the things that I was using every day. And I could see, and learn from people like Toby Eddiker, right? I mean, who didn't run MRTG back in the day, and who probably still doesn't use RRD tool?
I'm using RRD tool,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and not even in anger.
But taking the class from Toby and seeing from him,
from the author himself. Yeah.
Always, yeah. And that's, I used to because we're friends. But that's happened several times where I've taken the class by the person who invented the tool. It's so
absolutely.
I always feel like I come back from LISA with being exposed to the new tools, the new technology, and not just exposed, but also an understanding of how that would benefit me and the organization I work in, and in ways that people that don't attend this conference don't have that. And there's been many times over the years where someone has told me, a year ago you had this idea we should use this thing, and we kind of thought you were crazy at the time, but now the whole industry is using that. where did you get that idea? And I say, oh, well, there's this conference I go to. You could go too.
That kind of experience is deeply woven into LISA, and nobody wants to change it.
A lot of career advancement has been, you can talk to a lot of people who've been here a long time, as well as some people who've only been here a short time. It has helped in many different ways. You see somebody who's written this piece of software, they talk about it, they give you some tips and things like that, so you learn from that. But you also get to hear through the hallway track where they started from. And some of the interesting and funny stories. Some of them are scary. Things like the Quake of '89 in California was a really scary one for me, because we had all these computer systems bouncing around. But other people have gone through experiences like that. And when we come to a conference, that's one of the areas that we get those shared experiences that help us as we develop our career and think about what we want to learn next.
I totally agree. I remember being at LISA one of my first years, and just the person that I was chatting with online at the buffet just happened to, I said, oh, I'm dealing with this certain problem, and he said what he had done, and I realized, wow, that last 2-minute conversation paid for this entire week of the conference. And this was on the first day of the conference. I'm going to have more experiences like that throughout the conference. That's incredible.
There's one story of sitting in the Town and Country down in San Diego for one of the conferences, and Ben Jacobson was there, and he all of a sudden grabs a pen from one person, he grabs a napkin from somebody else, and the napkin had like salsa on it or something, and he starts writing. And it wasn't until a few months later that was the start of the TCP header prediction algorithm. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. It's like, and you find out much later.
I was there then.
Yeah.
So,
Tom, did you have any other questions you wanted to ask?
Well, I'm always wondering did I ask? I'm always wondering, like, in the process of planning the conference, what do you have specific things that you think new attendees would be looking forward to?
I have some ideas.
There's, like I said, there are so many people from so many different walks of life. It's impossible to cater to everybody, but I think it's very possible to produce and have content that will be of interest to everybody. And we try to do that. And
diversity in the program.
You've done well when you get constant complaints of, there were too many things for me to pick from.
That happened.
It happens all the time.
2 tutorials. Which one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we're running low on time, so why don't we begin with the tradition that we do at the end of every LISA Conversations broadcast. We have 3 rapid-fire questions that we ask. The first question is, what was the first computer that you owned or used?
Commodore PET.
I'm just a baby. It was an IBM 486 DX266 with 4 megs of RAM.
The fact that you remember all of those details.
I still remember the ATA command to get my modem to connect on Bluetooth.
I think we all do. Yeah. So
I still have a Hayes 1200. I don't use it, but.
So have you ever gotten to or had to use the big red switch to kill power to a server room or a data center?
Well, I had it pulled on me once by the switch itself. It shorted out and decided that it shorted closed. The data center power died, and much hilarity ensued.
I had to during the Quake of '89. We had to shut some systems down, and it was interesting. Was watching tiles popping on the raised floor, and had to wait until that was done before we could actually hit the data center power up button.
Wow, awesome! And our third rapid fire question is: who's your favorite computer scientist, or who inspired you the most?
For me, I'll just say for sheer cheek, Ada Lovelace. Awesome.
Cool. I'll say 2. Early career, E.B. Nemeth. Later in my career, Mendel Rosenblum on virtualization. Which.
That's very fitting.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for coming here. This was it's great to have you. It's really a gift. And thank you all for attending or for watching our video.
And I'd like to thank the people behind the camera as well for all of their time and attention. And I would also like to thank everyone who's watching this video. I hope to see you at a future conference.
See you guys later.